What if almost everything you show the world is a mask? Arthur Schopenhauer believed that this unsettling question pierces the heart of human existence. We like to imagine that we present ourselves authentically, that our faces mirror our inner truths, and that our words faithfully carry our thoughts. But Schopenhauer argued that most of what we show the world is not truth, it is performance. We craft masks to conceal vulnerability, to project strength, to win approval. And over time, these masks grow so familiar that we forget they are not our true selves. From childhood, the lesson begins. A child discovers that smiles bring praise, while tears often bring dismissal. Success earns affection, while failure breeds shame. Slowly, the child learns to hide fear, to suppress anger, to exaggerate accomplishment. With each lesson, the mask is strengthened, layer upon layer. By adulthood, the mask has become a second skin, clinging so tightly that we no longer recognize the face beneath. We think we are being ourselves, when in truth we are acting roles designed for survival. Schopenhauer saw the root of this in the will, the blind, ceaseless force that governs life. The will compels not only hunger, reproduction, and ambition, but also self-presentation. It drives us to conceal weakness, to magnify strength, to seek advantage by any means. The mask is one of the will's cleverest inventions, a shield forged from appearances, enabling us to navigate a world of competition and judgment. But the mask that protects also imprisons. To maintain appearances, we sacrifice honesty. To preserve dignity, we suppress truth. Over time, the role devours the actor, and we forget what authenticity feels like. Our worth becomes measured not by inner clarity, but by the approval of others. We live in reflection, mistaking the shimmer of performance for the solidity of reality. Schopenhauer warned that this is not a harmless illusion. It is a life half-lived, bound in chains of our own making. Look around, in professional life, confidence is performed even when anxiety burns within. Success is displayed even when failure threatens beneath the surface. On social media, we curate idealized lives, polished to hide boredom, loneliness, or despair. In friendships, envy and insecurity are disguised with laughter. In romance, we pretend to be stronger, more certain, more invulnerable than we truly are, afraid that truth will drive love away. Every arena becomes a stage, and every person an actor. But the performance does not silence the truth beneath, it only hides it from view. Schopenhauer insisted that humans are not inherently dishonest, but profoundly afraid. Honesty demands exposure. To reveal the raw self is to risk rejection, humiliation, or abandonment. And because the will craves acceptance and fears exclusion, it whispers constantly, hide this, exaggerate that, protect yourself. The mask becomes not a choice but a necessity, reinforced by every glance, every judgment, every expectation society casts upon us. We become trapped in an endless play where the audience never stops watching. Yet beneath the mask, something unyielding remains. Our longings do not vanish simply because we deny them. Our doubts and fears press against the surface, seeking cracks in the armor. And sometimes, in rare moments of silence or intimacy, the mask slips. A friend sees our weariness in a glance, a lover hears our vulnerability in a sigh, or we ourselves glimpse the fragility we have hidden away. These moments are fleeting, but they reveal a truth too vast to remain buried forever. Schopenhauer believed that most people live and die without ever confronting the masks they wear. They act the roles given to them until the final curtain falls. But for those who dare to look closer, recognition is possible. To see the mask for what it is, the invention of the will, the shield of survival, is the first act of liberation. For only when we acknowledge that much of life is performance can we begin to ask the deeper questions: who am I beneath this mask? And do I possess the courage to show that face to the world? This awareness does not demand immediate revelation. It begins with honesty to oneself. To notice the mask is to weaken its grip. To admit that we are hiding is to invite the possibility of truth. Schopenhauer knew that few can live entirely without masks, for society punishes the bare face. But to live aware of the mask, rather than enslaved by it, is to take the first step toward authenticity. And in that step lies the beginning of freedom. If the mask begins as a tool for survival, why do we cling to it so tightly even when it exhausts us? Schopenhauer believed the answer lies in the restless will. The will does not simply compel us to eat, work, or compete, it demands recognition. It pushes us to be admired, respected, envied. And because the will is never satisfied, our masks grow heavier. We exaggerate success, conceal weakness, and endlessly adjust the image we present to the world. Consider how much of daily life is shaped by this hidden performance. In workplaces, people polish their image of competence, terrified that honesty about uncertainty would mark them as failures. On social media, millions curate a perfect life, smiles, vacations, achievements, while despair and fatigue remain hidden off-screen. Even in friendships, we avoid confessing jealousy or fear, lest it tarnish our standing. And in love, perhaps most tragically, we sometimes project confidence when we are broken, strength when we are fragile, independence when we are aching for closeness. Each mask may protect us for a moment, but over time it deepens our distance from others and from ourselves. Schopenhauer saw in this behavior not freedom, but servitude. The more we rely on masks, the more dependent we become on the approval of others. Our sense of self drifts further from inner truth and attaches itself to external validation. We no longer ask, what do I believe? What do I need? Instead we ask, how do they see me? What do they expect of me? Life becomes a performance stage for an invisible audience whose applause never truly satisfies. For the will always demands more. This endless performance erodes intimacy. For if we are never honest, we are never truly known. The friend admires the mask, not the person beneath. The lover clings to an image, not a reality. The community praises the role, not the soul. And so we become lonely even in company, isolated behind layers of our own design. Schopenhauer argued that this loneliness is not accidental, but inevitable when truth is hidden. For only in truth can bonds be real, and only without masks can we find connection. Yet people persist, because to remove the mask feels dangerous. To reveal the vulnerable self is to risk humiliation, rejection, betrayal. The will resists this risk at all costs, preferring the comfort of illusion. Better, it whispers, to be admired falsely than to be rejected truly. And so we act, hiding pain behind smiles, uncertainty behind confidence, despair behind laughter. The mask becomes both shield and prison. But there is another reason we cling to masks, fear of ourselves. To strip away the performance would mean confronting our raw desires, our unpolished thoughts, our hidden flaws. It would mean admitting that we are less noble, less certain, less strong than we pretend. Schopenhauer believed most people cannot endure this confrontation. They prefer distraction to honesty, illusion to truth. And so they live in roles until they can no longer tell where the performance ends and the person begins. This is the tragedy of masks. They protect us from judgment, but they also prevent us from authenticity. They let us survive in society, but they also prevent us from truly living. Schopenhauer believed that to see the mask for what it is, to recognize its necessity but also its danger, is the beginning of wisdom. For only then can we decide when to wear it, when to set it aside, and when to risk revealing the face beneath. In this recognition lies a choice. We may continue to polish the mask until our final day, never truly known. Or we may begin, slowly and carefully, to loosen it, to let the truth breathe through small cracks, to allow others glimpses of who we really are. Neither path is without risk. But one leads to illusion, and the other to freedom. If the first step is recognizing the mask, the final step is learning what lies beyond it. Schopenhauer believed that the courage to live authentically, even briefly, was one of the rarest achievements in life. To remove the mask is to expose ourselves to risk, but it is also to recover the self that has been hidden beneath years of performance. In those moments of honesty, when the mask slips, we reclaim something the will tries endlessly to bury, our truth. This does not mean abandoning every mask. Society would punish such naked honesty too severely. Masks are necessary to navigate work, relationships, and survival. But Schopenhauer argued that wisdom is found in balance, the ability to see the mask clearly, to know when it serves us and when it imprisons us. Blindly wearing it leads to illusion. Consciously choosing it allows freedom. And when we dare, even in rare moments, to set it aside, we taste something deeper than safety. We taste authenticity. What does authenticity feel like? It feels like speaking words you have long suppressed, even if your voice shakes. It feels like confessing weakness to a friend and discovering they do not turn away. It feels like revealing longing to a lover and finding closeness instead of rejection. These moments are not without risk, but their reward is profound. For when we are truly seen, connection is real. And when connection is real, loneliness dissolves. Schopenhauer also believed that art could help us glimpse beyond the mask. In music, in poetry, in beauty, we are not actors performing roles but witnesses to truth. Art strips away pretense and reveals the sheer vulnerability of existence. A painting does not flatter us, it humbles us. A symphony does not perform, it exposes the soul's unspoken depths. In art, the mask falls, and for a moment, we stand uncovered before reality itself. Compassion, too, grows where masks fall away. When we see others not as actors but as fellow sufferers, their masks lose power. We understand that their confidence may conceal fear, their laughter may hide sorrow, their pride may mask despair. Recognizing this softens judgment and deepens empathy. Schopenhauer considered compassion the highest moral truth because it pierces the mask and touches the being beneath. But the greatest liberation comes not from art or compassion alone, but from silence. In silence, the performance pauses. We are no longer required to speak, to prove, to project. We can listen to ourselves, to others, to the quiet truth the world conceals beneath its noise. Silence loosens the grip of the will, reminding us that existence is more than striving, more than performance. It is presence, unmasked, unadorned. To live unmasked, even for moments, is to live with courage. It is to risk rejection in exchange for truth, to accept fragility in place of illusion, to trade admiration for authenticity. Schopenhauer never promised that this would bring happiness. But he suggested it would bring something rarer and perhaps greater, freedom. Freedom from the constant hunger of the will. Freedom from the exhaustion of endless performance. Freedom to stand, however briefly, as we truly are. So the question remains, will we continue to polish our masks until the final curtain falls, admired but unknown? Or will we, at least once, remove them and let the truth breathe in the open air? For in that act of honesty lies the paradox Schopenhauer revealed. Masks may protect us, but only the courage to drop them sets us free.